Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mecca Mike, back to you with another episode on the Fanatics Forum podcast, the place where you get that real sports talk from the fans' perspective. And if you could, it would be greatly appreciated if you could like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel so I can keep giving you guys this type of sports content. So let's talk about it. You obviously see the title, and at this point, I don't think enough Cowboys fans are talking about this subject. The question I'm asking is at this point in the season, is Mike McCarthy being set up to fail? And the reason I ask is because a few decisions that the Cowboys owner and slash GM Jerry Jones has been making are decisions that you shouldn't do and nobody would do if you're actually trying to win. And don't worry, I got a list of things that obviously don't make sense. So let's talk about it. So let's start with the draft. So the Cowboys' first overall pick was Tyler Guyton, the rookie out of Oklahoma. And going into the season, he had no live action at left tackle and was primarily a right tackle. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's actually a big deal for me because, and I get it. I understand the upside because he has the length and the athleticism to be a dominant left tackle in the NFL. But my only concern was that they traded down to get another guy or to get another pick and were left with having to draft him. So it wasn't like this was their guy that they were sold on. It was more like this is the only guy that was left. And I understand you can sell the athleticism and size, but they overlooked drafting possibly better pro ready tackles to take a guy and hope he ends up playing better. That's also known as a project. And my biggest issue with that is why draft a project when you just lost your Pro Bowl left tackle and your anchor for so long in a Tyron Smith. And I get you need the extra draft pick, but the Cowboys decided not to pay Tyron more money. And they decided to let Biotish go, their center. And they decided not to bring a veteran O lineman like a Jason Peters or David Bakhtiari in. And David Bakhtiari is currently available right now. So what the Cowboys did is they basically boxed themselves and their coaches to rely on a rookie left tackle with no left tackle experience, which will bring you a lot of growing pains as we see today. And I'm not bashing Guyton, but it's just the truth. And it leads me to believe that the Cowboys are basically tying Mike McCarthy's hands behind his back and saying, well, this is all we got. Make it work. And for me, that just isn't smart to do in a year when a coach basically needs to get to the conference championship or he'll get let go. So that tells me he and Mike McCarthy is being set up to fail. Another example is look at the wide receiver two, running back, and defensive tackle positions for the Cowboys. We brought in Zeke for some reason, which doesn't help the team in any way. And for you Zeke fans, I'm sorry, it's just the truth. He doesn't make the Cowboys a better team. So for me, that's if that's the case, then it's a waste of a pick. And it doesn't make the Cowboys a better team. So why do it? And on top of that, they hid him during preseason. And the fact that it took over 4 weeks for the Cowboys to limit his carries proves that they know he isn't that good. But because Jerry drafted him and likes him, he somehow deserves a roster spot. So again, being forced to pick a guy that doesn't have it anymore and waste a roster spot on him just isn't smart football. But if you want a team to struggle, that's what you do. So, not trying to help your running back position, which you knew last year was a struggle, and each week using Dalvin Cook as just an insurance policy and possibly destroying that relationship in the process because you don't want to hurt Zeke's feelings can only be a concern if winning isn't the main goal. Let's look at the wide receiver 2 position. The team needs speed and just flat out better wide receivers. You can't just have CeeDee Lamb. But there's been little to no effort to do so. Jerry has been saying he likes his guys. Do you remember wide receiver committee before the Amari Cooper trade? So during that wide receiver 2 committee process, before we traded for Amari Cooper, remember the scenario. The Cowboys had to be that bad and that obvious that they needed a wide receiver that it was okay to lose multiple games because the wide receivers that Jerry liked were there and they were cheap. And he was like, "Oh, let's just wait till things get bad and then now let's decide to get a wide receiver." If you're making smart decisions, you don't wait till a problem implodes for you to have to make a decision because in the end, it's going to cost you more. If you had addressed it earlier or at least tried to, you're going to save money in the long run. That's the process, that's the thought process. If winning, well, let me say this. If winning is your main goal, that's what you're going to do. But what the Cowboys did, that process didn't really matter because if winning was your main goal, you would try to bring in as much talent as you can to win. But they didn't do that. They just threw guys out there and said, "Oh, we don't need elite talent at wide receiver. We just can put anybody out there and then we can win." It didn't work out. And they gave up a first round draft pick for Amari Cooper and let him go for a fifth. That's what happens when you make moves out of desperation. Now let's look at the defensive tackle position. We drafted Mozzie. And then what? Oh, remember we drafted another D tackle this year as well? Guess what happened? They cut him. And they offered him an opportunity to be on the practice squad. He said no. That's what happens when you play with guys. You know you needed D tackles. You had a young guy that you drafted, but you cut him. That's not smart. And at this point, we don't have anything significant at the D tackle position. And that's literally the weakest position we have on our team. So what scares me is, say, for example, if Mozzie rolls an ankle, then where's our run stopping going to be? It's literally gone. We have no depth at defensive tackle. And we don't have the size slash ability to compete at that position. But who cares? Because McCarthy can win, even though Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara ran all over our defense. But why try to get better at any of those positions, especially since we waited forever to sign Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, which would have given the Cowboys 20 plus million in cap space to try and actually upgrade those positions. But no, we decided to wait till we were all in And then by the time we're all in, everybody had been poached. So all we can do is get practice players and hope we find a decent player out of practice squad players that aren't on the main roster. Oh man, it's rough out here. So based on all that, in my book, I call that setting up a coach to fail. Because if you're trying to win, trying to do so the cheapest way possible just means you're not trying to win. There's no way you can spin it in that direction. It's like, oh, I want to win, but I want to do the bare minimum and hopefully I'll win. Nobody does that for a reason. It's just the Cowboys, unfortunately. And I'm gonna just be honest with you. Probably my biggest worry and concern is that after Jerry has created these environments for McCarthy to fail over and over and over and over again, that it will make Mike McCarthy not care and basically treat this year as a lame duck year and just basically that will be his way of getting back at Jerry Jones for what he had to deal with. And I honestly feel that, and I don't care what anybody says, I'm still going to believe this till I'm proven wrong, that that's what Dan Quinn did. He probably knew he was getting the commander's job, or he threw the Cowboys under the bus to get that job. Either way, the Cowboys got screwed in the end. But boy, was it great for TV. Go back. A lot of those TV shows, the main TV shows, had their highest ratings after the Cowboys collapse against the Packers. And you know, Jerry loves his TV ratings because all the attention's on him. But the reason why I say that is because Mike McCarthy offensively isn't trying or doesn't look like he's trying because I refuse to believe that he is looking at teams and deciding, let's throw a bunch of slants and curls and not use your weapons to the fullest ability. When I see the Lions do it, 49ers do it. Heck, do you see what the Vikings are doing with Sam Darnold and what the Bucks are doing with Baker Mayfield? That tells me it's possible. But then I would ask, what's the incentive? Jerry has created an environment that basically says to Mike McCarthy, you need to either win a Super Bowl or you're gone. And on top of that, here's this poorly built roster with no effort. Try to be competitive. Why would he try when that's the circumstance that he's given? I really hope this isn't the case, but history tells me it's a very high possibility. And guess who Jerry Jones is going to bring in as head coach if he fires Mike McCarthy? Let me give you a hint. It won't be Bill Belichick. Want another guess? Okay, I'll give you another guess. It probably won't be another, well, let's just say it's a young, up and coming offensive coordinator that he just needs a head coaching job. And he knows the Joneses very well. You guessed it, Kellen Moore. And yes, Jerry would bring in Kellen Moore as a head coach over Bill Belichick because he knows he can control Kellen Moore and get what he wants with no complaints. And it would be box office for the media to talk about because it's like, oh, you're gonna just get rid of Mike McCarthy as soon as after coming off 3 12-5 seasons in a row and maybe had one down year. Yeah, let's get rid of him and let's bring in Kellen Moore. That's the culture shift, the culture change that we need. Even though you let him go the year, 2 years prior. Okay. Makes sense. That's Jerry. But again, don't have to take my word for it. Just wait and see. Because things could get ugly quick. But at the same time, it could work out. We don't know. But for me, I'm still going to root for the Cowboys no matter what the situation. But it's not blind loyalty because I'm not going to pretend like I don't see the garbage. So when things fall apart, I can point and tell you why and how. It's like I told you, we saw it coming. It's not hard, guys. When it comes to Cowboys, you've seen so much by now. It's like if you don't see the playbook, then you're just not watching. So what do you guys think? Is Mike McCarthy set up to fail? Drop a comment and let me know if you agree, disagree, or have a different take. But once again, I'm your boy Mecca Mike, and that's Meccha Mike. And don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I can promise you, you won't get this type of real perspective, especially from a fan's perspective, anywhere else. So, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. And until next time, I'm out.